In 1915, as World War I stagnated on the Western Front, the Allies considered opening a new front to relieve pressure on France and Belgium. Russia, battling a Turkish invasion in the Caucasus, called for British aid. The Ottoman Empire's entry into the war alongside Germany and Austria-Hungary in late 1914 prompted this Allied response. The Allies planned to take Constantinople, now Istanbul, and the strategic Dardanelles Strait, linking the Aegean Sea with the Sea of Marmara. Their success would enable a connection with Russian forces in the Black Sea and potentially force Turkey out of the conflict. The naval operation, pushed by Winston Churchill but opposed by Admiral John Fisher, began with a bombardment of Turkish positions by British and French battleships on February 19, 1915. Following heavy resistance from Turkish forces and the stalling of Allied minesweepers, Admiral Sackville-Carden, overwhelmed by the task, was replaced by Vice Admiral Sir John de Robeck. On March 18, a more forceful attack led to significant Allied naval losses due to mines and artillery fire. In the wake of the failed naval attack, preparations began for large-scale troop landings on the Gallipoli Peninsula. British War Secretary Lord Kitchener appointed General Ian Hamilton as commander of British forces for the operation. Under his command, troops from Australia, New Zealand, and the French colonies assembled with British forces on the Greek island of Lemnos. Meanwhile, the Turks boosted their defenses under the command of German General Otto Von Sanders, who began positioning Ottoman troops along the shore, where he expected the landings would take place. On April 25, 1915, the Allies launched their invasion of the Gallipoli Peninsula. Despite suffering heavy casualties, they managed to establish two beachheads, at Hellas on the peninsula's southern tip, and at Gaba Tepe on the Aegean coast. The latter site was later dubbed Anzac Cove, in honor of the Australian and New Zealand troops who fought so valiantly against determined Turkish defenders to establish the beachhead there. After the initial landing, the Allies were able to make little progress from their initial landing sites, even as the Turks gathered more and more troops on the peninsula from both the Palestine and Caucasus fronts. In an attempt to break the stalemate, the Allies made another major troop landing on August 6 at Suvla Bay, combined with a northwards advance from Anzac Cove towards the heights at Sari Bair and a diversionary action at Hellas. The surprise landings at Suvla Bay proceeded against little opposition, but Allied indecision and delay stalled their progress in all three locations, allowing Ottoman reinforcements to arrive and shore up their defenses. The naval advantage for the Allies weakened significantly with the loss of HMS Goliath and other ships to Ottoman and German attacks. The Ottomans, short on artillery ammunition, refrained from large assaults, but continued to fortify positions around Anzac Cove. The Allies' June and July offensives at Hellas failed to achieve significant gains, leading to a stalemate with high casualties. In August, a major Allied offensive aimed to capture strategic heights failed, with significant losses, particularly at Chunuk Bair. The failure prompted Hamilton to request reinforcements, but few were available due to other commitments. By September, the situation at Gallipoli was dire, with rampant disease and supply issues. The potential for German reinforcement of Turkish forces led to a defensive stance and consideration of evacuation. By the end of September, some divisions were withdrawn, signaling the beginning of the end for the Allied campaign, as troops prepared to leave for a new front in Salonika, Greece. Conditions at Gallipoli deteriorated, with poor hygiene leading to a dysentery epidemic and the dead-littering no-man's land, as both sides endured the hardships of trench warfare. Mustafa Kemal Atatrk, who would later become the founder of modern Turkey, played a pivotal role during the Gallipoli campaign. At the time, a lieutenant colonel in the Ottoman army, Kemal demonstrated remarkable leadership and tactical acumen that contributed significantly to the Ottoman defense. Upon the commencement of the Allied landings on April 25, 1915, Kemal, commanding the 19th Division, rapidly assessed the situation and, without waiting for orders from higher command, directed his troops to move to where he believed the Anzac, Australian and New Zealand Army Corps, forces would land. His decision to immediately engage the Anzac troops as they landed at what became known as Anzac Cove was crucial. He is famously quoted as ordering his troops, "I don't order you to attack, I order you to die. In the time which passes until we die, other troops and commanders can take our places." His prompt action in leading a counterattack was instrumental in halting the Allied advance, preventing them from reaching the strategic high ground. Kemal's defense strategies, his ability to motivate his troops, and his hands-on leadership throughout the campaign earned him much respect and recognition. His success at Gallipoli set the stage for his rise in the post-war period, eventually leading to the founding of the Republic of Turkey in 1923, with Kemal, later Atatürk, as its first president. German officers also played a significant role in the Gallipoli campaign. The Ottoman Empire was allied with Germany, and German military advisors were embedded within the Ottoman army to provide strategic and operational guidance. The most prominent of these was General Otto Von Sanders, who was appointed to command Ottoman forces on the peninsula. Von Sanders made several key decisions that strengthened the Ottoman defense. He correctly anticipated the landing sites, arranged the troops effectively, and organized a defense in depth, which made it difficult for the Allied forces to make significant headway. German-led training and reorganization of the Ottoman forces before the Gallipoli campaign also improved their effectiveness in combat. The German officers brought modern military tactics and organizational skills to the Ottoman army, which, despite being underestimated by the Allies, proved to be formidable opponents. The combination of Kemal's decisive on-the-spot leadership and the strategic planning of German officers like Von Sanders significantly contributed to the failure of the Allied Gallipoli campaign. General Otto Von Sanders indeed recognized the leadership qualities and the command capabilities of Mustafa Kemal Ataturk during the Gallipoli campaign. Sanders praised Kemal for his decisiveness, his ability to inspire his troops, and his tactical ingenuity on the battlefield. As the commander of the 19th Division, Kemal was pivotal in halting the Anzac troops' advance on the first day of the landings. Recognizing the critical situation and acting on his own initiative, he moved his troops to where they were most needed, directly engaging with the enemy and preventing them from securing strategic positions. Sanders acknowledged that Kemal's swift actions and his command presence on the ground were instrumental in the Ottomans' successful defense. His ability to motivate his men, often in dire circumstances, was noted as a characteristic of his exceptional leadership. Kemal's performance at Gallipoli was a testament to his military skill and foresight, which would later be foundational in his efforts to reform and lead the new Turkish Republic. Sanders' recognition of Kemal's qualities not only highlights his role in the campaign, but also the respect he commanded among both his troops and fellow commanders, including those from Germany. This mutual respect between Kemal and the German officers contributed to the effective defense put up by the Ottoman forces during the campaign. The Gallipoli campaign ended in a withdrawal of Allied forces after a prolonged and costly stalemate. Despite various attempts to break through Ottoman defenses, the Allied troops were unable to secure a decisive victory. The campaign had been marked by heavy casualties on both sides, harsh conditions, and logistical difficulties. By late 1915, the situation for the Allies had become untenable. Autumn brought harsh weather, with storms and cold conditions exacerbating the already difficult circumstances faced by the troops. Diseases such as dysentery were rampant, and the threat of further losses without any strategic gains loomed large. The new commander of the Allied forces, Lieutenant General Sir Charles Munro, upon reviewing the situation, recommended evacuation. Lord Kitchener, the British Secretary of State for War, visited the peninsula and, after consultation, concurred with Munro's assessment. The British government then decided to evacuate the troops. The Gallipoli campaign was a significant Ottoman victory, and is considered one of the greatest Allied failures of World War I. It had profound effects on national consciousness in Australia and New Zealand, where the Anzac Day remembrance was established, and it also contributed to shaping the future Turkish state, with Mustafa Kemal Ataturk, a hero of Gallipoli, emerging as a prominent national figure. Ataturk's words about Gallipoli can now be found as an inscription on a memorial stone that commemorates those bloody days. Those heroes that shed their blood and lost their lives, you are now lying in the soil of a friendly country. Therefore rest in peace. There is no difference between the Johnnies and the Mehmets to us where they lie side by side here in this country of ours. You, the mothers who sent their sons from faraway countries, wipe away your tears. Your sons are now lying in our bosom and are in peace. After having lost their lives on this land, they have become our sons as well.